Good morning, YouTube. It is Sunday. Thank you, everyone, for the feedback. I try to answer your questions. I try to give you the knowledge that I have. I try and address your concerns where you're saying, hey, I'm using valve, Pennzoil Platinum oil in my car. I'm doing oil changes every 5,000 miles. And my intake valves are carbon and I have sludge. And I am responding to why you're experiencing that. And that's because the oil is falling short on its job. The engine's telling you that it doesn't like 5,000 mile oil changes, hence why you have heavy carbon deposits on your intake valves, and also why your engine has sludge inside. Some people just think that because that you use Pennzoil Ultra Platinum or whatever the oil is, I don't use it whatsoever, that because the one guy had excellent results in his non-GDI engine versus his naturally aspirated engine with intake, what am I saying here? Fuel injector above the intake valve, that he had phenomenal results and didn't have these problems. Every engine is different. Every condition is different. Every environment's different. Everyone's driving habits are different. And oil is going to respond differently in all those different climates and situations, right? So it's a wave. When they test it here and they say, okay, this engine it tested well in, and they're not testing 40 different engines. They're testing typically one engine, say, here's the results that they have. So in my opinion, what this customer was having, what this viewer was having is he's saying he's changing his oil at every 5,000 miles, and he's having issues with carbon deposits and sludge. Well, I said, well, the color of the oil should tell you what's going on. If the oil is black at 5,000 miles, it can no longer do its job. Cut and dry. I don't care what anyone else says. It cannot. It's still protecting inside the engine, not quite as well as it was brand new, but it is not holding any more deposits in suspension. Once it gets so far into suspension, then you see it start, so you see these videos where it's jello in people's engines. Yeah, that's just another chemical reaction that's going in there. It's cooking it to the next step. It can't do anymore. It's past what its job was supposed to be. And sludge is past its job it's supposed to be. So what I said to him is, and his message to me was, you're going to have to start from scratch. You're going to have to do, and he said he was doing GDI services every 10,000 miles. Well, the oil couldn't help clean the engine deposits inside. Therefore, the intake valves took a beating too, meaning they were getting spray painted with carbon. And you, by trying to maintenance GDI every 10,000 miles, was already too late. GDI services are not for removing clunks and layers of carbon. It's while the valves are clean or just starting to get a little dirty, right, that a GDI service will help maintenance that. And it's not a fix, remember. GDI services, spray through induction, are not a fix in most cases. It's just maintenance. So what you're trying to maintenance on a bad oil change practices for that engine is you were just, I'm sure it had some benefit, but it wasn't the benefit you were looking for. So what I said to him is, you got to start from scratch. Clean the intake valves. Start using Valvoline Restore and Protect. And I heed caution that Valvoline Restore and Protect is going to remove stuff that's inside your engine that should not be there. And if it's bad, here's my caution to you. As soon as you change Valvoline Restore and Protect into your engine, you are and when it starts to do its job is on a heat cycle. So when the engine's hot and you're driving, what you're going to need to do is check your oil when you shut it off and see how fast Valvoline Restore and Protect is collecting the contaminants. And remember, it's not going to collect large flakes of chunkies, we call it in our business. It's not going to do that. And your oil filter sometimes can't do that. What does collect that stuff is your VVT solenoids, your VVT actuators, your oil sump and pump screens, and things of that nature. So if your engine's nasty, you gotta, you have your hands full. And now you're going to have to be a very cautious doctor. So if your engine's nasty, you're going to have to monitor the oil. Do not just put it in here and think you're going to go 5,000 miles. Don't do that. My recommendation to people that I do not know, and I'm just trying to get a handle on it, that come to us who've been hopping from quick lube to shop, the shops who don't care, or maybe they do care and been saying it, is we're identifying a problem, and if you're interested in trying to save your engine, this is what we have to do. But I need you back here, because the customers really don't know how to do much of anything to their cars. Need you back here in 500 to 1,000 miles. No later than that. I need to get a handle on how much sludge is in your engine and how well the engine's responding to this. And we may have to change the oil sooner, or just change the filter or something. I need to do that. You cannot push this Valvoline Restore and Protect 5,000 miles or 10,000 miles. It's not advised. You could have mechanical failure because of the poor maintenance practices and oil that's been put into your engine over the years. So that's my warning to you about Valvoline Restore and Protect, or any flushing method that there is a risk involved. You already need an engine, and that's industry standard. If you have sludge and you have oil consumption, you need an engine. If you have tailpipe smoke, it even makes it worse. So you already need an engine. So what do you need to do? You need to try and reverse that, and that's what Valvoline Restore and Protect is. And that's what motor flushing does, is help remove those deposits. But there could be deposits in there that we have no clue of, because you can't take your whole entire engine apart. If you're going to do that, you might as well put a new engine in. So once you get a baseline, right? So we'll just say, for instance, Valvoline Restore and Protect, you change it, you go for a 500-mile road test, the oil's black. The oil is doing its job. No different than you going in for an oil change, right? And you have some shop change your oil, and then you go out and check your oil after they just did it, and you pull the stick out and it's black. That's because that's how dirty your engine is. Sometimes it's not the oil change place's fault. It's your fault. You got to point the finger at yourself. They did their job. That's just how nasty your engine is. And in some cases, they may not have done an oil change, but I'll tell you, if it's a reputable shop and they change your oil and they start it up and check the level, put it outside, and they start it up again for the second time, put it outside, that oil is removing deposits that fast. And if it turned black that fast, that just tells you how nasty the inside of your engine is. It's not their fault. And if you scream and cry and insist that they do it again, your engine oil will be cleaner for a little bit longer of a period of time, because that wash inside there with fresh oil and filter removed a lot of that crap. So you have to start from scratch. 5,000 mile oil changes for this customer, or not this customer, this viewer, was way too long with Pennzoil Platinum. So he can probably go back to Pennzoil Platinum once he gets it clean and monitors how well Pennzoil Platinum works in the conditions he's putting it under. It may be 3,000 miles. It may be 4,000 miles. I'm not really sure. It's an experiment. And you do not want your oil to be black and non-transparent between oil changes unless it's a diesel engine. And this is why we run into these problems. So I hope that this answered some of these questions for everyone. As far as the intake valves go, once he gets them clean, he can monitor that stuff too. But if your engine oil is clean all the time, chances are your deposits left on intake valves are going to be minimal. And that's how it works. If you paint a wall with black paint, right, and it's white, how long does it take for, right? I don't even want to use an example until I think about it more. I'm trying to figure out, how can I say this to you for people who don't know how this works. So if you had a transparent material that you're putting on your wall, right, it's going to stay transparent. Once you start putting a color on a white or a transparent surface, right, a color on that, it's going to start to color it, right? And the more layers you put on it, the deeper and darker it's going to get, if that makes any sense to somebody. So if what you're throwing at the wall constantly is clear and transparent, what's going to be on the wall is going to be clear and transparent. Thanks for watching.